everybody, welcome back here on our Friday review. Can't wait to get into today's show here in the Cabral Concept. Always excited to bring you brand new research studies, usually that have just come out over the last couple weeks, that I want you to be the first to know about. Always a book review or favorite product of the week. Today we've got both a product and a book review that I think you'll like. An oldie but a goodie in terms of this book, one that I pulled off my archive shelf here in Maine now that I'm back for the summer. And of course, before we dive into all the book reviews, product reviews, and research, I like to be able to recap the week, just make sure that you haven't missed anything, especially since if you're listening to this while it's live, it is summertime. We kind of kicked off the official start to summer, and maybe you're diving into podcasts, maybe not so much anymore. I just want to make sure that I'm bringing you about 12 to 15 minutes every single day of functional medicine and integrative health-based answers that you can rely on in terms of yours or a loved one's family member health-based journey. So let's get right into that. First things first, in case you missed it, podcast recap on Monday, we went over stop measuring yourself by someone else's mirror. I shared with you one of the most perfect examples that I've ever seen, a podcast host getting the opportunity to interview one of the greats in terms of all-time performance and mindset in Anthony Robbins, and he turned the interview all about him and his limiting beliefs, meaning the host, and that was on display for basically everyone to see. And I didn't name the host, but I went through specifically why, whether you're Tony Robbins or someone, maybe not at that pinnacle-based level, and there's all sorts of levels in between that no matter who we are, we need to be living our own life. That's really what it's all about. I go through that. I share with you how not to worry about everyone else's perception of you and really to focus on you being you. On Tuesday's show, we went over choosing the right type of magnesium for you. This was a show that I did about 8 years ago, and I thought, it needs updating. Let's go over all of the most popular forms of magnesium that are good for the heart, good for blood pressure, good for the brain, dementia, Alzheimer's, anti-aging, good for the nervous system, good for sleep. So I went through all the different forms. Hopefully that'll be educational. You can find that episode 3441. On Wednesday's show, we went over Safe Sun, 5 natural health tips to soak up the sun without the burn. Again, getting natural sun is one of the healthiest things a human can do. Getting burned by the sun, not so much. I go for how to figure out how much safe sun is okay, and then when to cover up, and then when to cover up, what to cover up with. Plus on that show, we'll link up do-it-yourself suntan lotions should you choose that. And then yesterday's show was a medical breakthrough. This is a great one. This is free. Predicting your heart health 10 to 30 years in advance. So, and as accurate as going from a calcium artery scan. So pretty unbelievable. I link up that calculator for you. All of these shows are at stephencabral.com/podcasts. Yesterday's show was episode 3443. Today will be episode 3444. So 3444. All right, let's dive right into it. I love to be able to go through product reviews with you, book reviews. I'm going to go through the book review first. This is one that I pulled off my shelf. Someone asked me, have I reviewed this before? And I said, I think I have. So I went back. I even asked my team. It doesn't look like that we've ever reviewed this book. So here we go. On my shelf in Maine, it's called The Well-Lived Life by Gladys McGarry, who's a medical doctor. A 103-year-old doctor's secret to health and happiness at every age. So, when I saw the title of that book and I heard that kind of sub-headline, I said, I'm going to check out this book, especially since it's like 200 pages, 219 pages. So an easy book to read in just a week's time or so, especially if you kind of follow the protocols that we give even for reading. It's a book that you can get through very, very quickly, right? We always say 10 pages a day. You can do it in 3 10-minute blocks. You'll get through 10 pages easily per day. So this book would take you 20 days. That's it. So very, very quick, very, very easy to read. All right. So the main takeaways, just in case you're not going to read this book, 103-year-old doctor. They've seen a lot, right? They're a medical doctor. They've gone through all sorts of different care for patients. What did they end up recommending? What did they give as basically health-based secrets? Well, a lot of it was beyond the medicine, whether you believe in natural medicine, conventional medicine, or maybe a mix of both. really what they spoke about was vitality versus age. So life isn't just necessarily about how long you live, although kind of nice coming from a 103-year-old doctor, but it's really the life in the years, as they say. Why does that matter? I'm going to share with you why. Again, directly from my practice, I just have the amazing benefit that I'm thankful for every single day that we get to see about 100,000 people come through our Equal Life-based practice every year. But, if you were looking at one-on-one sessions, it's still about 10,000 to 20,000 appointments a year. So it's a lot. And so when we look at certain individuals, we get to see a 70-year-old that are still serving on multiple boards or charities. They're still working with local, city-based organizations. They might not be skiing as intensely as in the past, but we have clients that are skiing in their 70s and 80s. They're playing tennis. They're still going and they're playing poker on their Thursday nights. Like they're doing things that they love engaged in life. And the nice thing is there's no two ways to necessarily do it. I have clients that are still, crushing it in work, like business, into their 80s. Like they are not stopping. They're not even slowing down. It's unbelievable. They still work a normal 40+ hour a week. And then they have their weekends. They see their grandkids. But they're still doing their thing. Some people dedicated to traveling. I have one client writing a book. They're retired now and they say, I've always wanted to write this, this, and this. Amazing. Clients on board. Some clients, spread their time. They do a little consulting now. They do some work, some dedicated to helping their grandchildren. So here's the thing. However you want to look at a great life lived, it's just about getting the most out of your years. Not necessarily packing your days to the brim if you don't want to, but just living life in your terms, going after life and living it how you want it to be lived. So that was the first part that I took from it. The second is that Dr. McGarry was not just about conventional medicine and a pill for every ill. She looked at mind, body, and spirit. So she believed that total wellness, total health wasn't just physical body. It was mental health and spirituality as well. So that was great to see. And she's also noticed like the happiest, healthiest people are those people that take some time to laugh. Like they really do. Like medicine can be laughter. It can be healing. I read about that 20 years ago, easily dismissed it in terms of like cancer-based care. But then I talk with all these brilliant cancer-based doctors who are more integrative, and they're like, no, we literally prescribe laughter. Like we prescribe that as a way for calming sympathetic nervous system stress, boosting the immune system. So I'm like, amazing. Again, and when a 103-year-old doctor says it too, I think that's a great. So for me, it was a great reminder that, great health isn't just about perfection. I'm no longer, trying to compete in a lot of these longevity-based things. It was great. And I enjoyed that when I was first teaching and, one of the lowest biological ages that I had in the world. But I said, you know what? That's not what health is meant to be. Health is meant to be not missing a birthday, not, being not able to travel because I'm worried about sleep or whatever it is. It's about living life. So I do everything that I can health-wise, but also I'm going to live life. I'm not going to miss life in order to try to, I have to get to bed on time. Sure. Yeah. I want to get to bed on time, but every once in a while, no, I'm not going to because there's a reason why. All right. So anyway, that was my big takeaway from the Well-Lived Life by Dr. Gladys McGarry. All right. All right. Let's go over our product review of the week. I hope this one will be helpful to you and your family. It is something that I've decided to do as a way of giving back. I said, literally 19 years old, still remember to this day, some things are just etched in your mind. I sat in my first integrative functional medicine doctor. I don't call it functional medicine anymore because functional medicine has really just turned into hormone replacement therapy. And that's not natural medicine in my opinion. But here's what I wanted to share with you is that I sat in that office. I didn't know what to expect. And I said, listen, and I just, you make these deals. And I said, if this is the answer and I ever get well, I'm going to share it with the world. And the truth is that I didn't get well right away. I started to learn some things from these natural health-based practitioners at 19 years old, and it was amazing. Finally, I did. I met with dozens of practitioners, but maybe I would have never listened to my mentor, Dr. Pete, at 26-ish years old. Maybe I would have listened if I haven't done so many things, read so many books, tried so many protocols. Met with her, I said, what you're saying makes sense. It combines a lot of different things that I've learned about in the past. Let's do it. 6 months later, I get well. right? 10-year journey in 6 months better. So, but I still make good on that promise, because that first doctor, Dr. Gordon, still so thankful for even teaching me that there was another way besides a pill for every ill and a handful of pharmaceuticals every day, which is what I was taking. So anyway, what I try to do is make good on that. I'm literally paying for 50% of this lab and your coaching call. So right here, I've got the box. My team just sent it to me. If you're watching this on video, Equalife box. This is the company that I run as part of my private practice, and all the labs are in here. All of these labs are half off. Okay, so literally your first, called the First Lab program, your first lab, we're paying for 50% of these labs. These are not, so Equalife is the one that is able to get you these labs, but a medical doctor still has to sign off on it, and we still pay third-party labs to run these. So just want you to know, these are not free labs to us. So we're paying for 50%, and we're going to pay for your health consulting call with our integrative health practitioner and Equalife team. And it's going to include a personalized wellness plan. So we've got the minerals and metals test here. We have the testosterone test, free testosterone. We have your thyroid test with TSH. We have your inflammation test, omega-6 to omega-3. Everybody should be running that. We have your bedtime cortisol test to see if it is high levels of cortisol that's not being able to allow you to turn off your mind and get a great night's sleep. And we've got a vitamin D test. There may be more, but all you have to do is go to stephencabral.com, click on the image for the First Lab program. First Lab, 50% off, and that includes your shipping and handling. Please take advantage of it. It is a one-time only use. So please, one time only, so that everyone's able to take advantage of this. What we try to do is 100 labs per month. That's our goal. Again, we pay for that. We pay for the consultation, your personalized wellness plan. And always keep in mind, all your information is kept private. Always. That's why we also do this, privacy. So only you, the lab, and your Equalife practitioner ever see those results. We don't sell that to anybody. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, just go to stephencabral.com or it'll be on today's show notes. You can go to stephencabral.com/3444. All right, let's now get into our research study for the day. Usually I bring you two, but today I thought that this was amazing, and here's why. I have always believed that the future of medicine is energy and light and vibration, because that is what we are fundamentally as human beings. The problem is I was again very grateful to be invited to Baden-Baden to the World Medicine Conference, and I had all sorts of bioenergetic based machines. The problem is really couldn't get into it because it's like varying results, and it could be the same result today as yesterday, or it might be radically different. So really hard for me as someone who is science-based minded you need to be able to replicate these things. However, that doesn't stop me from believing that one day, we're not there yet, but one day, the future will be healing in that way. Because we have 30 to 40 trillion cells in our body, 100 trillion bacteria in our gut. It has something to do with a vibration, which again, we are vibrational based beings. That is science. That is actually true. So now check out this study. I wanted to bring it here today, and I really wanted to highlight it as one, because this is probably the future. So this was developed by teams at Rice University at Texas A&M and UT/MD Anderson. This basically, it's been called the molecular Jackhammers. And what it is an aminocyanine dye that is given so basically put in your body intravenously. However, it's selective for cancer cells, in this case, melanoma cells. Here's what happened. When the dye was injected in, this was done in cultures right now, not in humans, and it was done in mice. I'm going to give you the results in just a moment. So they inject the dye. The dye selectively goes after the cancer cells. The cancer cells light up and are dyed this particular color. Then they're exposed to near infrared light, and the molecules enter they called it a vibronic mode. So basically they were vibrating in unison. Think about a tuning fork set to a particular pitch. You probably know, if you've ever seen which is true, the opera singer that can shatter glass with their voice, or a specific tuning fork, when you get it high enough pitch, it can shatter glass. Same thing here. They're getting what are called nanoscale jackhammers. So they are vibrating at such an intensity that the cells just rupture. They essentially explode. They don't implode, they literally break. And this ruptures the cancer cells. Right now being done in skin-based cancers or melanomas. So in cell culture tests, it destroyed up to 99% of human melanoma cells. It's unbelievable, right? So if you could do this, keep the other cells intact, and then just use all natural protocols to mop up the other 1% while working on what may have led to the cancer in the first place, I mean, that's unbelievable. It's amazing. Now, in mouse melanoma models, about 50% of the treated animals became tumor-free. Pretty phenomenal. Allowed then the immune system to take over. So do we still have a lot more testing to go? Of course. But these things aren't more. So when you first hear about something, I want to be truthful with you, to when it finally comes out is about 10 years. Sometimes 12 to 15 at the latest. So all the things you're hearing about right now with AI and cancer-based breakthroughs, think of them as 10 to 15 years away. It might seem like a lot of time, I know that, but it's also why I preach inside of High Performance Health. If you don't know what High Performance Health is, just check out at highperformancehealth.org. If you keep yourself alive and healthy just for another 10 to 15 years, the breakthroughs are unbelievable. And there's another, I'll share this on another show, just the newest longevity-based test that was done, turning back skin cells and biological age by 20 years. So if you're 69 years old, literally bringing your skin back 20 years to when you were 49. Remarkable. And that included biological age as well. So we'll go over more of that in the future. I could go on and on about this, but people that are really interested, this was it wasn't just published. It was a previous study from about a year and a half ago, then more recently published, called Molecular Jackhammers, Eradicate Cancer Cells by Vibronic-Driven Action. Pretty powerful name. Is published in Nature Chemistry. I'm going to link it up for you. I'm going to make it really easy, but I do hope that this gives you not only hope for the future, but also, again, belief that vibration, light, energy, that is how we're going to be able to heal the whole human. For now, let's use what nature gave us. Sunlight, heat, sauna, cold when needed, good nutritional supplements, good food, clean air. These are the things that we need to start with. Again, hopefully all of this was helpful. I appreciate you. If you want to learn deeper about what we teach and how we certify people to become certified health coaches, doing exactly what we talk about here, head on over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org for all of the longevity and anti-aging, reversing biological age by over 20 years. Head on over to highperformancehealth.org. And just for today's show notes, and definitely get your first lab 50% off, head on over to stephencabral.com or stephencabral.com/3444 for today's show notes. Take care. I'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.